Merry Christmas, everybody! Okay, I know it's just December, but I still figured I ought to cover something Christmas-related. But what the heck is Christmas-related and also horror-related that I could shed some new light on? Thought about Tattletale, but who doesn't know that one? I'm totally not just too unnerved by Mama to actually want to play the thing for a long enough period to get enough review footage. I always hated Furbies. Funny story, back when I was really little, I was at my godparents' house and they had this talking Elmo toy. We put it in a room and went to leave, and when we turned the lights out, what do I hear? Bye-bye! As if the thing saw me going. That put the fear of those horrible little children's toys in my heart forever. I am totally not over 20 years old and still unnerved by the dark, kind of because of that. No, definitely not. Still, I might review Tattletale sometime soon. I think it really deserves to be remembered more these days for being such a quality game. I guess it was too ahead of its time. But then, what was I gonna review? I thought it might be cool to cover something like Christmas analog horror or some of those silly one-off Christmas horror games, like ones where you escape Mariah Carey or whatever. But, those aren't exactly all that different from one another. Usually it just boils down to collect these things and then escape the evil thing. Okay, what about Christmas malware? I love malware, I love looking it up, and I used to clip a Vinesauce Joel getting a virtual machine to crash by playing something called Santa Zone on it in my video on Forgotten.
Is there no escape? Shut down. Oh, thanks, Santa! What the?
Let's look that up and see if it's a known malware. Oh, now this is interesting. So Santa Zone itself may not be malware, but I'm gonna say a name and I wonder if you'll find it familiar. Especially if you used to watch Nostalgia Critic. Elf Bowling. Before the terrible movies, it was a computer game developed by the company N-Storm and released in 1998. In it, you play as Santa Claus, and because the elves are on strike due to overwork, he has decided the most reasonable response to this is to use them as bowling pins for his own twisted entertainment. Back in 1998, it was incredibly easy to send exe files via email, as there was no protection to remove them back then, and thus, as the game spread, a warning spread as well. If anyone has sent you a game called elfbowl.exe, cool game, 10-pin bowling with little elves as pins, it apparently has a virus that will be activated on December 25th. Either take a risk or delete before then. Terrifying, yes? An innocent little program with a sinister side, out for your files in exchange for your holiday spirit. Except that was all completely fake. Despite extensive testing by researchers at Sophos, a security software company, nothing malicious was ever found in the game. Nothing besides how much time employees probably spent or wasted testing it, because the game was probably attempting a silly bit of fun to break up the office monotony. But while elf bowling, as odd as it was, wasn't actually a threat, have there been real Christmas viruses meant to crack your holiday cheer? Of course, this isn't the world we live in without some joyless fellow trying to ruin other people's fun. Doesn't mean we can't have fun taking a look at some creepy examples. Personally, I love looking at old malware. It was always so much more entertaining than the boring stuff nowadays that just tries to take your money and your IP address and maybe replace your YouTube channel with a crypto scam. Be careful with sponsorships that contact you first, folks. Okay, first example, a little something called Christma EXEC. Known as this because in the 1980s, file names were limited to 8 characters, which could be followed by a space and then an older kind of file extension, in this case the exec part. That labeled the thing as a script that the user could execute. Christma EXEC was written in IBM's programming language REXX, and what's especially substantial about it is that it was the first ever computer worm to cause widespread disruption, wreaking havoc on IBM's internal network, which is also apparently where it came from. A computer worm, by the way, is a malicious program that can spread itself over a network after tricking a user into running it or downloading something suspicious. Eventually, one way or another, it got out of it and ended up on a government network. So how was this thing executing so easily if a user had to do it manually? Well, it tells you how to use it, but not the consequences. Scary programs like this weren't common back then, so most users had no reason to be suspicious of what they thought was a cute little Christmas card. For users not already adept with technology, the instructions were simple. Just type Christmas into the command line, and you didn't even have to leave off the S like the title. The program would automatically ignore anything beyond those first 8 characters if it saw Christma had been typed. Then it would execute. And what did this horrifying first worm ever do? Wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and display a little Christmas tree made out of ASCII characters. Oh, the humanity. So what exactly is the problem with that? While the payload, you'll hear that term a lot, that just means what the malware does when it activates, wasn't intentionally harmful, the worm sending itself to everybody via so many emails once activated could make a user's computer slow down, disrupting their work. It also tended to overload email systems like IBM's. In fact, it only took it 2 days to cripple that one to the point IBM had to shut the whole email system down to get rid of it. But obviously, that's not going to work on systems nowadays unless you're actively trying to activate it in a virtual machine and purposefully leaving your network on and vulnerable while you do so. But you know what will work nowadays if your computer sucks and is old?
Animated Christmas tree for desktop. Just look at it. It's the worst thing ever.
When you were a kid, did you ever just download, well, whatever looked cool? Stuff like screensavers from your favorite show? When I was little, I did that with a Powerpuff Girls animated screensaver. If I remember correctly, that didn't turn out to be the virus, but something else infected the family machine, and my parents ended up blaming it on poor Blossom, so that was the end of screensavers for me. Later down the line, I got a pirated copy of an art program from a friend. Naively, I just downloaded it and went about business as usual. Yeah, later on that PC was toast. Kids will do anything to get out of having to pay for a $50 single-time fee, but honestly, it's usually because they don't have a credit card to use and they don't want to have to beg their parents. Point is, the virus that's next up is one that would seem innocent to young children and grandparents. It has no name. It's simply a collection of animated Christmas decorations for your desktop. And I'll admit that calling this a virus is not entirely accurate, but it can behave like one if it gets into the hands of someone who doesn't understand what it's doing or how it works. You see, kids like to click on stuff. If they can spam something, no matter what it is, they will spam it.
Add Christmas tree. Oh, you can do several?
And this lovely little Christmas program, developed and released by DriveSoft in December 2013, allows you to place as many Christmas items as you want all over your screen. And as a former child myself, I remember the joy of covering stuff in other stuff. Inevitably, kids and even adults would cover their desktops in these things. Who cares, right? Well, the initial problem I'd bring up would be that too many of these would slow down an older system. Just shut it down and restart it, yeah? Each of these festive pieces comes with the option Start When I Start Windows enabled. So if an overzealous kid obliterates your screen with Christmas cheer, you may be down on some processing power until you realize that you can right-click on each one and turn that option off. This little program has been wreaking havoc on the naughty list as recently as last year, according to a post from a not-so-tech-savvy Redditor. While never intended to be malicious, this program and even Christma EXEC make you realize that as a developer, you gotta think of the guys who don't know computers, or just the loopholes. I mean, even that first ever worm was just meant to be a Christmas card, but the creator did not realize that it needed some restrictions put on it. I think a good lesson to learn from these two is don't download or run anything that seems, I don't know, unusual? A bit too simple or good to be true? While these two aren't purposefully malicious, this one is Christmas.exe. No, it's not another bleeding hedgehog. Before all them creepy critters, an exe was an executable file. Back in my day, that blasted blue hog wasn't sullying computer terms. Can you tell I don't care for Sonic.exe? Before you steal him, I'm gonna make Christmas.exe. Here he is. I expect expertly crafted fan art and an FNF mod within the week. Chop chop! I'm kidding, obviously, but if anyone does draw him, I will hang it on my family's Christmas tree, and that is not a joke. So what is Christmas.exe, the actual virus anyway? Well, it is a ransomware, the type of malware that encrypts or otherwise ruins and breaks your files and holds them that way until you pay a fee, usually in Bitcoin. What's interesting about Christmas is it's a non-functional ransomware. It doesn't encrypt anything, so I'm not sure why they sent it off into the world already. It cropped up in November of 2017, maybe it ran away from home. I wanted to cover it because of the creepy image it sets on your screen when it activates, which I thought was cool, but because it got out a bit too quickly to cover what it would have done had it been finished, we need to take a look at the source, that being an open source ransomware that, from what I can find, was called Christina. Or that was just a variant of it, but let's call the whole family Christina for ease of scripting. Okay, for one, you gotta be a real class act jerk to make an open source malware so people can just copy and paste it if they wanna screw around. Two, apparently this was not the only instance of open source ransomware. Therefore, it was a little difficult to find information on this exact type without installing it myself, which I am not willing to do before I hit 100K. Let me get a cool plaque before I infect my PC with malware for content. Christina had a lot of variants due to its open source nature, including one starring a JPEG of Nightmare Foxy for some reason, just called Foxy. Another called itself Waffle, but I can't find pictures of it. Christina apparently spread through files disguised as Word documents and could infect 234 different file types, oddly enough including mobile config files, which contained configuration data for iPhones, and saved search files, which are associated with Mac OS. Weird considering the ransomware only ran on Windows. The GUI for the malware looks like this. From the virus creator's perspective, this is how you'd control it. Creepy. If you were the infected, you would see this message. Then I guess you'd either have to figure out how to get rid of the thing yourself, pay, or whatever else you do with one of these. I don't know, cry? What especially sucks is with a lot of ransomware, the Bitcoin wallet or email linked to it goes offline very quickly after the authorities or operating system companies find out about the ransomware and take action on it. Which means that unless you get infected during the thing's baby era, you aren't even gonna be able to pay to release your files. We can do better than a virus that doesn't do anything, though. Wanna go back to the ASCII world? I've got something for you. A DOS virus simply called Christmas. We're all so original today. Unlike the other viruses today, this one has two variants. Both named Christmas, the two are only separated by their file size, and are not by the same author. I guess there are two equally unoriginal virus authors scampering around out there. Starting with variant 1, Christmas 1694, because it's 1694 bytes large, but we will just call it Xmas A. This one activates between December 24th and 26th. It's got a random chance to trigger when you run a file. As we see here, our good man Dan runs graphics.com over and over until it happens. Eventually, when it triggers, you'll see the message, "Merry Christmas and Happy New Year," written from Tom Sweet Oxford College. And over the computer speaker, you'll hear a cute little rendition of Silent Night.
There we go. Get this nice rendition of Silent Night.
Other than that, Xmas A actually does nothing else besides infecting files and playing you a song once a year if you're lucky. Xmas B, however, could be considered its evil twin. Known officially as Christmas 1539 due to being 1539 bytes large, this one is not as friendly. It would infect files, and when an infected file was run, a Christmas tree would display with German text underneath that translates roughly to, "And he still lives. The Christmas tree. Merry Christmas." Now that's all for what it does on Christmas. However, when you get to April the next year, on April 1st, when your computer starts booting, you'll only see the message, "April, April," and the computer will not continue to boot. This is because the virus actually removed your partition tables. Now, I'm not too familiar with old DOS stuff, but I think in layman's terms, your data is gone and your file structure is destroyed. Stuff like file names, file sizes, all that important stuff, no more. That includes important files like the ones that tell the machine how to boot and how to, do anything. Okay, I lied, there's not just two. There's also another Christmas variant called Christmas 600, but it just says Merry Christmas to you and that's it. So like a baby version of 1694. Alright, one more for ya. Feliz Navidad. That being Spanish for Merry Christmas. This one's a worm simply called Navidad, and its heyday was in November 2000, where it reportedly struck over 10 Fortune 500 companies. It sends itself as a reply to all of your unread emails while marking them as read, or at least it's supposed to. Didn't work for my good man Dan, and I'm not about to test my own luck. When you run the worm, which has an icon similar to a barcode, an error will pop up reading UI. Close that and take a look at your taskbar. There's a little eye there now. Hover over it and you'll see the message, "Lo estandos mirando," meaning I've been looking, or something similar. Creepy. If this is meant to be Christmas themed, perhaps that's Santa? He sees you when you're sleeping after all. What lovely blue eyes you have, Father Christmas. When you click on that eye, a pop-up will appear stating, "Nunca presionar este botón." Never press this button. Come on, if you say that, of course I'm gonna press it. Also my pronunciation, hopefully my pronunciation's okay. I'm trying my best. But for now, if I listen and just close it, it won't close. Underneath, a window titled Feliz Navidad appears with Buena Elección within, telling you good choice. On pressing OK, the eye on the taskbar closes. But now you can't run any exe files. Turns out this worm is broken, because what it wants to happen is Navidad runs instead of the file you want. That file is copied to the registry as winsvrc.vxd, while the computer will look for winsvrc.exe when you try to run something. The computer will prompt the user to find the file winsvrc.exe, which is supposed to be the virus running, but making it impossible to launch files or even start the system. Thanks to virus.wiki for explaining this to my dumbass. It's kind of funny to me when a virus tries to be destructive and then either sabotages itself or accidentally has a worse effect than intended, or a less worse effect. I've seen some try to delete drives that don't exist, or even delete themselves in the case of some shoddily programmed faker antiviruses. Wondering what happens if you press that button you're not supposed to press? Another box comes up informing you, okay, here we go. Lamentablemente cayó en la tentación y perdió su computadora. That, unfortunately, you gave into temptation and lost your computer. In Spanish, of course. The eye sticks around after this, but seemingly nothing else happens. Your computer is not, in fact, lost, from what I can tell, but perhaps it's different with Navidad.B. Yes, this one has multiple variants as well. It looks like Navidad.A was not a finished product, since half of its functions weren't, well, functional. Let's see how this variant holds up. It's got a bit of a different icon, this time looking a bit like the ClickTeam default active object. Running this one pops up a window similar to the UI one from before, this time with a sneaky little winky face, in a window titled Error. Clicking OK on this one pops up a little green flower in the taskbar instead of an eye. Hovering over it produces the far less creepy message, "Come on, let's party!" So party we do and click on the flower. Same as before, never press this button. We X out of that and get a window titled Emmanuel with a nice "May God bless you" happy winky face. Unlike variant A, Navidad.B does its job right this time and doesn't break EXEs, so when we run something else, it's back like intended. This time, let's press the evil button. Emmanuel, God is with us, may God bless you, and Ash, LK, and LJ. Okay, and then the flower just doesn't go away, but it has no malicious effects. Come on, the eye was so promising, I want destruction! Apparently, neither variant caused much of that if it was removed quickly because of the whole computer won't start thing that variant A had going on with the goofed up file names. Okay, fear not, let's try this one. I found one more, Zafi.D. Now this one was annoying to find visuals for, but anything for you guys. From 2004, this Trojan comes in the form of an infected email and actually tries to be deceptive. It has the ability to detect the user's location through their domain name extensions and adjust the language of the sent email to match. For example, if it figured you were French, the email would contain, and I'm gonna try my best here, Joyeux Noël, and so on. Therefore, you might be less likely to suspect foul play than if you were like Italian and it sent you an email in English. The email comes with an emoji of two yellow dudes doing each other, and an attachment pretending to be a Christmas postcard that, when executed, infected your system, if you were on Windows, and replicated by sending itself to email addresses in your address book. It also attempts to stop anything related to the following strings from running, because these are known antivirus programs or services like McAfee and Sophos. It also attempts to open files containing the following strings, reged, msconfig, and task, and keeps them open so you can't use them. Stuff like that, like the task manager, would be attached to the registry and configuration of your computer, and would be vital to removing the virus's hooks from every inch of the system. This thing may not seem all that special, but I'm letting it be the tail end of the list because 1, I thought the emoji was funny, and 2, did you know it was first on the top 10 list of the world's worst viruses, being added in 2006? It got their reward for being the world's most reported virus, probably due to its ability to spread in multiple languages and harass everybody, not just English speakers. It lost its position to something called Dwarf in 2007. Also, apparently Zafi caused an Amber Alert somehow, but I cannot find any evidence of it. Okay, we can't end off without at least something a little dangerous, and perhaps unconventional. The danger is the fun in computer viruses, I imagine, at least when you're looking them up and not experiencing them yourself. So as we wrap up, for real, I have something a little unconventional. A DOS virus called Christmas Cracker. Now, this one never spread back in the day, nor did it hit any companies, nor are there any articles about it or anything, and that's because it was created solely for DenoOct1, the virus reviewer I've been going on and on about in this video, by someone called the X-Darksider, and due to its exclusive nature and being released in a more modern time, it's free to do some crazier stuff than what we've seen on average today, at least some crazier visual stuff. So run it and you get a little message. I love glitches! Press any key for my Christmas present to you. Okay, where's the any key? We're greeted with this gradually progressing snowlines effect that evolves into what looks like plaid to me. And then, Merry Christmas, your hard drive is being toasted, with some author info and stuff. Press any key to make the computer stuck. Well, if you press 5 keys, turns out, just kidding, enjoy your Christmas. After that, if you press one more key, then the computer hangs and makes this awesome noise. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Bit of a short one, but still cool. I couldn't begin to think of how to make a DOS machine do this sort of thing, but hey, that's probably because I don't know assembly. Alright, I think I got everything I wanted to get to today, trying not to burn out with videos of incredible length. I know my last 2 have been pretty long, but between you and me, that's been an accident. I didn't start off with them expecting them to be so long, so having one of a more casual length, especially with how busy I've been, is nice. Being honest, I've been working 7 to 8 hours in retail during a Christmas event rush, then coming home and staying up till like 6 AM working on content, so sometimes it feels like I've got 2 part-time positions. Now, I want you all to know that I value you very much and you have been a wonderful Christmas gift. In fact, this year has probably been the best year of my life in terms of my passion and what I'd like to call my career, so thank you for being here. I'll have more for you this month, even if I don't make another essay video in time, so look forward to it.
I've come to make an announcement.
Hello, my name is TTS Cat and I have a special announcement to make. Sorry that I do not sound the same. I have no idea what my normal voice is called. Normally I stay within streams and do not invade the world of YouTube. However, I believe this time I can make an exception. I, or Dusky, I suppose, is currently not in an ideal, or perhaps safe, living situation. Due to this, their video output has slowed as they deal with depression and family pushback which causes harsh migraines. The full explanation of this can be found in the description of the GoFundMe linked here and in the description of the video. Donations are not expected but are appreciated greatly and any help, vocal or monetary, enables Dusky to leave this situation quicker and focus on the channel. Thank you for listening, and now, we do the outro.
Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, get it! Yes! Yes! Christmas came early! I need to stop getting so into it, because I'm actually getting a fucking headache.